She never asked to be famous. She never posed for a camera on purpose, never chased a headline, never walked a red carpet because she wanted the attention. The only thing Dannielynn Burkhead ever did to become one of the most watched children in America was to be born. And the moment she entered this world, in September of 2006, the circus had already set up its tent around her. Her mother was Anna Nicole Smith, which meant that before Dannielynn could even open her eyes, the world had already decided it had opinions about her life. Cameras were outside the hospital. Lawyers were already sharpening their arguments. And the tabloids were printing stories about a baby who was 5 minutes old. For 18 years, she stayed quiet. Her father made sure of that. He built a wall around her, not out of secrecy, but out of love, because he had watched what happened when the world got too close to Anna Nicole, and he was not going to let that happen to his daughter. He blocked searches on her devices. He kept her social media private. He turned down deal after deal from brands and networks who saw a famous last name and smelled money. He said no to almost everything. And because of that, Dannielynn Burkhead grew up as something genuinely rare in this country, which is a celebrity child who actually got to be a child. But now she is 18, and what she is finally sharing about her life, her dreams, her relationship with her father, and her complicated but real connection to the mother she never got to know, is the kind of story that makes you feel something you were not expecting to feel when you clicked on a video about Anna Nicole Smith's daughter. Because this is not a tragedy. This is something that looks, against all odds, like a life well lived. And before we get into who Dannielynn is today, you have to understand the storm she was born into. Because you cannot fully appreciate the calm without knowing just how violent the weather had been. Anna Nicole Smith came from nothing, and she meant that in the most literal way possible. She was born Vicki Lynn Hogan on November 28, 1967, in Houston, Texas. Her parents split before she was 2. Her father disappeared. Her mother raised her in Mexia, a small Texas town where the population hovered around 6,000 people, and the biggest dreams had a way of staying small. School was a struggle for Anna. She did not fit in, could not keep up, and by the time she had finished 10th grade, she was done. She was 14 years old, already working, already trying to figure out survival on her own terms. She found work at Jim's Crispy Fried Chicken, which sounds like the kind of detail a screenwriter would invent to add texture, but it was simply her life. That was where she met Billy Wayne Smith, a 16-year-old fry cook who caught her attention. They moved fast. On April 4, 1985, at just 17 years old, Anna married him. Less than a year later, on January 22, 1986, she gave birth to a boy she named Daniel Wayne Smith. He would become the most important person in her world. But the marriage cracked quickly under the weight of jealousy and control. By mid-1986, she had packed up her baby and walked out. She moved to Houston with a child, no diploma, and no safety net. She worked at Walmart. She worked at Red Lobster. She took whatever job she could find and still came up short every month. Eventually, she started working in strip clubs because that was what paid the bills when nothing else did. Then in 1992, she made a move that changed the entire trajectory of her life. She sent photos of herself to Playboy. Hugh Hefner saw something in her that the world around her had spent years overlooking. By March 1992, she was on the cover. By 1993, she was Playmate of the Year. She had always told people she wanted to be the next Marilyn Monroe, and suddenly the comparisons were coming from everywhere. Vicki Lynn Hogan was gone. Anna Nicole Smith had arrived. Paul Marciano, the co-founder of Guess Jeans, saw the same electricity and signed her immediately. The campaign they created together became iconic almost overnight. At a time when the fashion industry was obsessed with an almost fragile kind of thinness, Anna Nicole came in with curves, confidence, and an old Hollywood glamour that nobody could ignore. The black and white images from that first Guess campaign, shot in a style inspired by Jane Mansfield, became some of the most recognized fashion photographs of the entire decade. She went on to work with H&M and Lane Bryant. She became the face of Trim Spa. She appeared in films including Naked Gun 33 and a Third and The Hudsucker Proxy. The girl who had once been cleaning tables was now on billboards across Europe. But fame, as Anna Nicole would learn over and over again, gives with one hand and takes with the other. In October 1991, before her Playboy career had even fully launched, she met J. Howard Marshall II at a strip club in Houston. She was 24. He was 86. He had recently lost both his wife and his longtime companion, and his driver had brought him out to try to lift his spirits. When he saw Anna, he was completely captivated. The next day he invited her to lunch and handed her $1,000 before she left, telling her not to go back to the club. From that moment on, he showered her with gifts. A red Mercedes, diamonds, $4,000 a month. He asked her to marry him repeatedly, and she kept saying no. She said she wanted to make it on her own first. She wanted the world to know she had earned her success before she said yes to anyone. On June 27, 1994, they finally married at the White Dove Wedding Chapel in Houston. He was 89. She was 26. Only 11 people attended. Marshall sat in a wheelchair. Anna wore a satin gown. Her 8-year-old son Daniel was the ring bearer. The ceremony lasted only a few minutes, and before the night was over, Anna had left for a photo shoot. Marshall sat in his wheelchair afterward, crying. That image became the one the tabloids printed over and over again. They called her a gold digger. A federal judge would later describe the relationship as a mixture of need, greed, and lust. But Anna told Larry King in a 2002 interview that Marshall had given her something that money could not actually buy, which was genuine love and respect. Whatever the truth of their relationship was, it ended before she ever got to prove anything. On August 4, 1995, just 14 months after their wedding, J. Howard Marshall II died at the age of 90. His will did not mention Anna Nicole at all. What followed was one of the most tangled legal battles in American history. Anna believed she had been promised half of his estate, which included a stake in Koch Industries worth over $1 billion. His son Pierce said she deserved nothing. The case bounced between courts for over a decade. A Los Angeles bankruptcy judge awarded her nearly $450 million. A Texas court reversed it and ordered her to pay legal fees. A federal judge lowered the number to $88 million. A higher court threw that out entirely. The case eventually reached the United States Supreme Court in 2006. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg wrote the decision confirming Anna could continue fighting in federal court. But the money never came. She died before the battle was ever resolved, and she never collected a single dollar. In the middle of all of it, there was the Anna Nicole Show, which premiered on E! In August 2002. It became the most-watched program on the network during its first season. Critics were savage. The audience could not look away. There were moments that felt staged and moments that were painfully real, and viewers began to notice that something was wrong. Her speech was often slurred. Her behavior was erratic. Reports later surfaced that producers had encouraged her wild personality by keeping her supplied with Red Bull and very little else in the way of support. She had been dealing with prescription drug dependency for years. Valium, chloral hydrate, and other medications had become a daily part of her life. The 2004 MTV Video Music Awards were one of the most painful public moments, when she stumbled to the microphone, slurred her words, and the crowd laughed. She was struggling in front of millions of people, and they treated it like a punchline. On June 1, 2006, Anna announced on her website that she was pregnant. On September 7, her daughter Dannielynn was born in the Bahamas. 3 days later, Daniel Wayne Smith, Anna's 20-year-old son, came to the hospital to meet his newborn half-sister. He never walked out of that room. He was found dead on September 10, 2006. The autopsy confirmed he died from a combination of methadone and antidepressants. A Bahamian jury ruled it an accidental overdose. No criminal charges were ever filed. Anna was shattered in a way that the people around her said she never fully recovered from. Her attorney Howard K. Stern later said that Daniel was the center of her entire world. She had raised him alone from the beginning and had always seen herself as both his mother and his father. At his funeral, she asked them to open the coffin. She tried to climb in. She told those around her that if Daniel had to go in the ground, she wanted to go with him. Stern would later say that while Anna Nicole Smith's body kept breathing for 5 more months, the woman inside her was already gone the day her son died. On February 8, 2007, she was found unresponsive in her room at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Her bodyguard and his wife, who was a registered nurse, performed CPR. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital. She was pronounced dead. She was 39 years old. The official cause was accidental overdose. The primary drug was chloral hydrate. 11 drugs were found in her system. 8 of them had been prescribed in the name of Howard K. Stern. Dannielynn was 5 months old. She had no idea what the world was already saying about her mother, Larry Burkhead. The celebrity photographer Anna had dated, stepped into a paternity battle that included multiple men making competing claims. In April 2007, DNA testing confirmed that Larry was Dannielynn's biological father. He brought her home to the United States and made a decision that would define both of their lives. He was going to raise her as far from Hollywood as he possibly could. He screened what she could access online. He kept her profiles private. He turned down endorsements and television appearances. He said no to almost everything that came with a $sign and a camera attached. The one exception was a single appearance for Guess Kids when she was 6 years old, a quiet tribute to her mother that Larry decided would be the first and the last time. After that, he closed the door again. Now Dannielynn is 18, and the person she has grown into is not what the tabloids would have written if they had been in charge of her story. She celebrated her 18th birthday in September 2024 with a Beetlejuice-themed party. She wore a spiderweb print dress with dramatic sleeves and black lipstick. She posed next to an actor in full Beetlejuice costume and flashed peace signs at the camera. Larry posted a heartfelt message saying he was immensely proud of her and asking her to stay humble and kind. 2 sentences that tell you everything about the father he chose to be. She is planning a double major in forensic science and Japanese studies. Forensic science because she has always been drawn to mystery and problem solving, to the idea that there are answers underneath every surface if you are patient enough and careful enough to find them. Japanese studies because a high school class introduced her to the language and the culture, and something in it simply clicked. She has a natural gift for acting that earned her genuine praise in school plays. She has dreams of launching her own cosmetics and clothing line one day, blending her love of fashion with her own artistic sensibility. These are not the dreams of someone who is coasting on a famous name. These are the dreams of a young woman who has been paying attention to the world and figuring out where she fits in it. She and Larry have built a real life together that is full of exactly the kind of small, ordinary moments that Anna Nicole Smith never had enough of. They have gone to concerts together, including a Duran Duran show that became one of their favorite shared memories. They do elaborate Halloween costumes every single year. They go to amusement parks, and Dannielynn, who is every bit as fearless as you might expect, insists on riding every roller coaster with her hands in the air and reportedly tells her dad not to hold on because she does not want him slowing down the thrill. She loves posting unflattering photos of Larry online just to get a reaction out of him. That detail alone tells you everything you need to know about what kind of relationship they have built. It is warm, it is honest, it is playful, and it is completely solid. Anna Nicole is still present in Dannielynn's life in ways that go beyond old magazine covers. Butterflies have become a private symbol between them, a quiet sign that her mother is somehow still nearby. A portrait of Anna hangs in Dannielynn's bedroom. In January 2025, Larry surprised his daughter with front-row tickets to Hugh Jackman's Broadway show, something she had been dreaming about for years. He even brought a life-size cardboard cutout of Jackman as a joke gift. When she went backstage and met him in person, the video of the moment spread across the internet in hours. Jackman hugged her and told her she had incredible energy, and the joy on her face was completely unguarded. It was the face of someone who had been given a real childhood and still knew how to be surprised by life. In 2025, when tabloids began recycling old, false stories about the circumstances surrounding Anna Nicole's death, Dannielynn and Larry responded together with a firm and clear public statement. They said they prefer to rely on living, credible sources. Those 6 words said more than any long response ever could have. She is not hiding from her mother's story. She is not pretending it did not happen. She is simply choosing honesty over noise, and she is doing it with the kind of quiet confidence that takes most people decades to develop. The world spent years reducing Anna Nicole Smith to her worst headlines. Her marriages, her legal battles, her addiction, her death. They turned her pain into entertainment and her struggles into punchlines. And by the time she was gone, many people had forgotten that underneath all of it was a woman who had climbed out of genuine poverty on nothing but ambition and nerve, a woman who had loved her son with everything she had, and a woman who, in her final months, was holding a baby daughter she never got enough time with. Dannielynn Burkhead is 18 years old. She is sharp, she is grounded, she is deeply loved, and she is completely her own person. She carries her mother's name and her mother's warmth, but she is writing a story that belongs entirely to her. Anna Nicole Smith fought for most of her life just to be taken seriously and never quite got there. Her daughter is starting from a completely different place, with a foundation under her feet that was built specifically so she would never have to fight the way her mother did. Watching Dannielynn step into adulthood with this much clarity and this much stability feels like something close to justice. Not the kind that comes from courts or legal rulings, but the kind that comes quietly, slowly, and arrives in the form of a young woman who is going to be just fine. If this story stayed with you, hit subscribe so you never miss another deep dive into the lives behind the headlines. And drop a comment below telling us what you think Anna Nicole would say if she could see her daughter today.